Good evening and welcome to Liberty Tree's Breaking News Desk. I'm Chris Branham. Today we have several important news stories. First, from the Babylon Bee's internet section, Twitter labels Chinese propaganda morally true. I know I personally was wondering for a long time after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said this.
There's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
Okay, so now we have the answer. This is morally true. Chinese propaganda. The Chinese Communist Party has done a very good job stopping the coronavirus and respecting human rights of the Chinese people. This, a Twitter from Lijian of China. California. Twitter has rolled out a new warning label and fact-checking system to call out tweets that are false, like when President Trump says anything at all. But the social networks are trying to be fair. So, they are also checking tweets from the Communist Party of China, such as a recent tweet from Chinese spokesperson Lijian Zhao. The Chinese coronavirus response was great, and China treats its people with respect. Instead of labeling the tweet as against Facebook or Twitter rules or false, the social network found this tweet was morally true. Okay. The Twitter fact-checking system has reviewed this tweet and found it to be morally true, reads the label. Those who click Learn More are redirected to the Communist Party's website, where they can read tons of great information on how awesome China is and President Xi Jinping, and how they can heal the coronavirus with their laser eyeballs. Morally true. More from Twitter. Twitter has hired a French immigrant due to their diversity policies. This immigrant's name is Hilaria Leclintu, to fact-check Trump tweets, specifically. San Francisco, California, again, Twitter has appointed a new head of fact-checking that will verify all information the president tweets. In order to make sure that the fact-checker is fair and balanced, the social network hired a recent French immigrant with no political biases, Mrs. Hilaria Leclintu. I'm bad at French pronunciation. There's an X at the end of the first and the last name. Otherwise, it looks surprisingly like Hillary Clinton. Twitter wouldn't do that. We need to know. We need to, how shall you say, fact check the president. We? Leclintu said at a press conference. This president says things that are sometimes, how you say, inaccurate? Inaccurate, said an assistant. That's what I thought. Leclintu immediately fact-checked a tweet Trump was saying, I am the president, finding it to be false, as Hillary Clinton actually won the election of 2016, but was robbed. This will not stand, she said angrily, as she wrote a fact-check on the tweet. Oui, baguette, cheese, merci, Eiffel Tower, oui! Okay. I don't think that can possibly be true. Here we go. From the U.S. pages of the Babylon Bee, CNN draws its largest crowd in years. For a change, Snopes actually agreed this one was true. Atlanta, Georgia. CNN executives were baffled by the large crowd outside their offices on Friday, not having seen an audience this size in many years. Executives quickly added hundreds of people outside their offices to their audience numbers, more than doubling their ratings for the day. Woohoo, it's happening, said the station chief and founder, Bob, of CNN. Brian Anderson, come quick. We're finally drawing a crowd. Years of hard work is finally paying off. Peering out the window, Brian Stelter mumbled, no social distancing masks, though. But we'll take what we can get at this point. Mr. CNN then walked through the lobby handing out flyers inviting the protesters back to watch CNN's failing network shows Saturday and Sunday. This is where it all turns around for us, said the president of CNN. Okay, then. Other U.S. news from the West Coast. Oh no, the scientist Gavin Newsom has been listening to is actually a bunch of raccoons stuffed in a lab coat. Sacramento, California, Governor Gavin Newsom. He said he's been trying a science-based approach to decide whether to shut down and when to reopen his state. I listen to science because I'm a good boy, he recently tweeted. But now there's no doubt about Newsom's approach, as it has been revealed that the main scientist Newsom has been listening to is actually a bunch of raccoons stuffed in a lab coat. There were suspicious early on when Newsom first declared the stay-at-home order. According to scientists, everyone needs to stay at home, Newsom said in his announcement. Also, they said they can't stress this enough. You need to leave your garbage cans outside and keep it unsecured and unmonitored. There were also further suspicions when Newsom began to reopen the state. The scientists said we need to reopen now, get back into restaurants, and then not eat all that food, but put most of it in the garbage behind the restaurant, leaving the dumpster lids open to protect against COVID-19. Once again, the scientists stressed that the trash needed to be kept far away from the business where no one can see what's going on with it. The ruse was finally ended when Newsom's top scientists collapsed into a bunch of raccoons skittering away from an abandoned lab coat after they were scared by another scientist who turned out the bulldog wearing glasses. Oh my. It's bad news for California, but not surprising. Who scientists? It seems like, who? Gotcha. Who scientists confirm coronavirus only spreads at conservative protests? That's right, who? You're probably asking yourself, who? It's okay. It's who scientists. They've confirmed coronavirus can only spread at a conservative protest. So all those peaceful protests around the country this last weekend, totally safe. Geneva. Who scientists have confirmed that corona can only spread at problematic protests like conservative rallies, Trump campaign events, Second Amendment rights demonstrations, and the like. The study found that coronavirus will not spread at progressive protests or violent riots. This is good news for liberals. The WHO study showed that only Republicans, Second Amendment demonstrators, and Trump supporters can spread dangerous viruses when they break lockdown and assembly protests. Not any other kind of protester. You only want people to die if you go protest for conservative causes. Otherwise, totally safe. That doesn't seem right.
You just want people to die.
WHO scientist, as he mixed two different colors of liquids together, they exploded and his hair went straight back, burning his face. Ah! Unfortunately, the scientist was later discovered to be a bunch of raccoons in a lab coat, advising the California governor, Gavin Newsom. Huh. This is a bad day for science stories. SpaceX launch scrubbed after local Karen calls the cops on social distancing violations. Whew. Of course, Florida. Cape Canaveral, Florida. It was supposed to be a historic launch Wednesday, and America once again put men into space. But the launch had to be scrubbed, as the Kennedy Space Center's neighbor, Karen, called the cops on the operation. There are a bunch of people out doing something, Karen said on a recording for a 911 call. And I don't know if they have a permit or not. Some were definitely not wearing masks, and they climbed into a rocket or a capsule. As soon as the police arrived, a number of technicians fled, necessitating scrubbing the launch. Cheese it! It's the Popo! Astronaut Bob Behnke yelled, as he and the other astronaut Doug Hurley ran from the Dragon spacecraft. The launch has been rescheduled for Saturday, during a time when Karen is supposed to be busy at a spin class. From the sports section of the Babylon Bee, rioters have declined to sign Colin Kaepernick. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, Colin Kaepernick arrived at Minneapolis riots last night, saying he was expecting to be part of the looting and violence. Kaepernick tried out for the riots by throwing bricks into windows, but missed. He was able to rush a Molotov cocktail into a Target window and then spike it on the ground, but then he caught himself on fire. Finally, in a last-ditch effort to get selected for one of the riot squads, he filmed a workout video and sent it to various protester organizations, but hadn't heard back at the time of publishing. While we appreciate Colin Kaepernick's enthusiasm, we need someone who can lob a Molotov cocktail accurately, said a representative for the rioters. We wish him the best of luck in his future rioting career. We believe Colin Kaepernick will be on his feet with another riot organization, maybe, say, in Chicago or Louisville. The former quarterback quickly blamed his failed rioting career on racism.
That's racist.
Yes, most of the rioters were black. Finally, our last story of the night. A study finds you should only worry about executive overreach when the party you do not favor is in power. There is a simple diagram that I'm going to narrate for you. Is executive overreach a big deal? Does your party control the White House? Arrow going to no. Huge deal. Might want to do something about that. Yes. No big deal. Don't worry. The next guy will probably give all the power back. From the U.S., a new study found that executive abuse power is only a big deal when the other political party is in power. The research also confirmed that you should only be worried about rapidly increasing power of the executive branch when your political foe controls the White House. When your own political party is in power, you can rest easy. The consolidation of power in the executive branch probably won't enable the next guy to do terrible things. Said the head of the study, Dr. Bart Cardigan. Dr. Sweater. Don't worry too much about it. The next person who gets into power will definitely give all the power back as his first, executive order. It's an unwritten code amongst presidents. They immediately roll back their power and then sit down in the Oval Office chair. They are gentlemen, after all. The study came as a big relief to many Americans who were starting to grow concerned that both political parties were just expanding the power and scope of the executive office for their own political gain, without any concern for how their enemies could use that power in the future. It's good to know we only have to worry about the president acting like a dictator about half the time, said local man Gary Christoph. I just don't have the energy to police my own guy as well as the other guy. That's good satire. It's a problem when both parties do it, just in case you didn't notice. Both parties, mostly snakes. Republican, Democrat, there's not really a big difference between them. Yeah, okay then. Well, this has been Liberty Tree's Breaking News Desk. I'm your host, Chris Branham. Thank you.